One of the very, very first people I went and visited, well, I went and visited my sister first, and she was like, I'm not joining your thing, I'm not going to get started, I'll look at life insurance, I'm not doing this. So here she is. And so she's done great, she's a regional leader. One of the next people that I went and visited was Aristide Abrahams. We're getting interference with the signal somehow. Anyway, so I went and visited Aristide Abrahams, and I brought my trainer with me, and I did tell him, he swears to this day, I didn't tell him I was bringing Ian with me, but I did bring Ian with me. And so I showed up, and he's like, who's this guy? And he was a little bit offended that I had a trainer with me, but he decided to come out and check it out on his own.
He's making this up.
Yeah, he decided to come and check out Primerica. Came out to the office, didn't even tell me he was coming. Came out when I was out in Auburn Hills, saw what we were doing, and Aristide is a systems person. If you know Aristide, everything's got to have a system. It's got organization to it. I'm not like the greatest system person. I'm like fire, ready, aim. Aristide's like ready, aim, ready, aim, ready, aim, ready, aim. And when he gets it right, he'll fire finally, right? Okay, so our personalities are a little bit different, but we work together really well as a team. And one of the things he's really good at is getting his recruits off to a good start by training them up properly. So let's get on our feet for Regional Vice President Aristide Abraham.
All right. Yeah. So maybe this thing is working now, and my magic touches did the trick. So what to do with my system of... I got it. What to do with my new recruit? What's the best thing to do with your new recruit? I need some feedback.
Outback Steakhouse.
Nice.
Get them in your recruit.
Get them to district.
Train them.
Fast.
Train them. So what do you do with your new recruit? Train them. That's it. When I asked my mom, when I was younger, Mom, how do you make your chicken so good? She goes, well, first, take the chicken, put it in a pan, and you make it taste good. So that's kind of like this, what I'm telling you, right? That doesn't work. So Greg already kind of gave the juice away. I'm a systems guy, so there's actually a system. And you know what it really comes down to? Spend time with them. So when I was just starting, 4 months into the business, on the left, that's my daughter, that's her friend, and her friend brought Lacey to me. Lacey's somewhere here, right here. Give me a high five, Lacey. And so you don't know how my daughter is totally not active. She had a team of 13 people and then quit. That happens. But Lacey's still around somehow. That's what we're looking for. Here's another example. This is a Big P downtown Ellen Park. Guess what we're doing? I'm sitting here taking this picture. I'm working on his name list. You can see that, right? He's making all kinds of scribbles and qualifying. Meanwhile, two of my, at that point, a district and a RL, they're doing their interviews at the same time. So I was training 3 people at the same time. Leverage your time. I always say, if you're smart, you put your butt down somewhere and you have your whole team come there. You leverage the time, and everybody's wondering, what's going on? All these tables are occupied. Something is happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. But they're all excited, right? I'm always excited. So, you know this couple, right? Paul and Lynette, right? This is the first time I actually went to their home, and I was working with them at their script of how to call people. Now, I knew the script, but they did not know the script. So what did I do? Write it out. Here's the CD, play, pause, write. Play, pause, write. And I had to take them through that process. Now, a lot of us are saying, like, well, I don't have time for that, just give me the CD. Sometimes you need to be willing to do it a little bit extra. And guess what? She's sitting right there in the back. Why?
She learned it.
I spent time with her.
That's right.
I spent time with her so she knew I cared. That's why. Not because it's a great business, Not because you can make a lot of money here. You spend time with your people. That is what makes them stick around. So if you're worried about what makes them stick around, I'm showing you, right? Or these double studs. I gotta share a little bit about, so this is this afternoon. I was showing them pictures of some older folks and folks that have been longer in my team. Go like, hey, why don't you take a picture of us? Boom! And they, I don't know if they realized I was putting that in the presentation today or not, but there they are. So I gotta share this story. Lacey brought me to Travis, right? And then Travis brought me to his parents. And his parents were about to buy into a $800,000 franchise. Within that week, they were making decisions, getting phone calls back and forth. I said, stop that calling. Look at my $124 proposition here. And guess what happened? They joined Primerica, didn't do that $800,000. We invested that difference. So they have that $800,000 working for them while they're working now on getting better in Primerica. Spend time with your people. That's when you find out what really happens, and that's when the rubber hits the road. All right, how much time do we have left? Plenty. I like that. So follow the process. As a systems guy, this is what you do. Orientation happens when? We know this, right? Everybody says this out loud. 24
48 hours.
So you recruited them, and that's when you sit with them. But you don't just go through the motions. Really get to know them when you do your orientation. That is what makes the difference. Alternate meeting, this is meeting, training, and also sitting with them one-on-one. This is where a lot of us actually totally mess it up. I'll see you next Tuesday. I'll see you next Friday. That's not how you're going to grow your business. I can guarantee you that. It's not going to happen for you. The only way to do it is if you spend time with your people. 15 hours. You have to spend around 15 hours with them before something starts to happen. Before they really are going to take you serious that you care enough about them. And that it's not you're just trying to be nice, but nothing happens. That's when it clicks. It's hard to pretend for 15 hours. Does that make sense? So if you're real and you're working from the heart, and they see that and they sense that, they'll buy back into you. And you'll have loyal people who stay with you. Lynette, how long have you been with me? 2 years. 2 years. Spend time with them. Don't do what I did, by the way. Don't get sick for 2 years. That didn't help. I'm letting you know. All right. Make calls with them. Now, I'm laughing about this one. A lot of us would love our trainees to just pick up the phone and be able to do this, right? Who has that happen for right away? Look at all those hands go up. Right? You have to train them how to make calls. Now, some people, they go fast. You show it to them 2 or 3 times and they got it. And some people, months later, you still have to sit with them before they'll actually do it. And other people, you still have to pick up the phone for them and make the call. You have to look at your trainee and decide which one of the 3 they're going to be and treat them with respect. It doesn't matter. But it's great if you see somebody has potential. Don't give up too easy. Help them grow into that I can pick up the phone on my own. And when they call you and tell you, hey, I finally did it, you better be ready, whatever you're doing, drop what you're doing, call them, don't text them back. Call them and say, man, that's awesome, you great, you did that, I'm so proud of you. You have to tell them that. If you can't do that, you're failing.
Yes,
They're
sir.
not failing, you're failing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Age and experience. Depending on who you recruit. Some people are young, they're 19 and 20, but they have the business mindset of a 42-year-old and the charisma of a 65-year-old. Great. Sometimes it's the other way around. You have a 42-year-old and you wonder, man, you're still playing video games in your mom's basement? That's going to be a little bit of a challenge, right? You're laughing, but yeah, I met a few. And you don't see it coming until you ask the right questions. This is why you spend the 15 hours with them anyway. It's not just for them, it's also for you.
That's right.
Who am I going to be spending my time with?
Exactly.
Some people, I just say, hey, you know what? After the 15 hours, you will be able to learn everything you need to know by just plugging in every Tuesday, every Friday, and I still call them every week, right? And some people, I'll drop everything and spend all my time, every spare minute I can with them. Why? Because they're sponges. They take it in. Oh, can we go back one slide? Is it-
I got you back.
Thank you. Greg's got my back. It's amazing. One more. Oh, now I'll go forward.
Wrong backward.
Hey, did I tell you about these people? They're really they're awesome. All right. So here, I'll do it from here. Thanks. Orientation, alternate. Somehow that last one didn't stick, so I have to read quick what it was.
This one.
See, crusade. So just leave it like this. Crusade and teaching. When you're working with your new people, a lot of us tend to go, and I did this wrong for the longest time. That's why I'm sharing this with you. We always talk about crusade, and then what's the other part?
Teaching.
Right? We always talk about it here, but when you sit with them, you forget about the crusade. You're just willing to teach and teach and teach. And at a certain point, they're not where you are. If you could do a mind melt, I call it the spot mind melt, right? You just put your fingers like this, and the older people, they understand what I'm saying. The younger people are like, what are you talking about? Sorry, go watch Star Trek when you have time. If you don't have time here, sorry, go back with that. It comes down to this. If you could do a mind melt with them, they would get your crusade part. But you have to spend at least 3 to 4 hours of your 15 hours with them on the crusade part as well. Let them buy into what it is. Let them borrow your belief. Let them borrow your upsetness with the industry. Asad Farash, he always says this, right? I hate the industry that I'm in, but I love working with Primerica. People need to hear that. And in those 15 hours, you're going to be their loudest voice. So you have to share that with them. If you don't do that, nobody's going to.
That's right.
So you have to do that. So remember, when you're sharing about the crusade, why did you start? What Art Williams says so beautifully. You have to remember what blew your butt out of the water, right? What blew my butt out of the water? I spent time with that on that. Rule 72. Grown man, 48 years old, never heard of it. That's very upsetting. I asked my daughter, went through school, paying for college, how much time in your whole education did you spend on the rule of 72? I thought maybe I'm from Europe, maybe here they do it, maybe there they didn't do it. Same thing, 0, right? Who learned about the rule of 72 in college? 2 people.
For like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
5 minutes.
I forgot
One
it
slide.
after.
5 minutes. 5 minutes. And we use money when? 5 minutes in our lifetime or every day? All right. So think about those things. Share where you're going. If your new recruit doesn't know where you're going, how do you expect them to follow you? Does that make sense? You have to share that, and share that. I remember recruiting, and was in a recruiting, at a certain point, one of my new recruits said, Aristide, stop, just tell them what you wanted to do with your home country. They wanted me to share that story because that is what blew them out of the water. So guess what? They were expecting me to tell the story the same way. If I told it a little shorter, they got upset with me. That's when you know that you're sharing the right things. And then respect that.
That's good.
Right? Be consistent in what you share. That way people can count on it. If some days I present here and I'm happy, and other days I'm like, man, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. You expect me to be excited here, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Would you bring your people if I would be like, yeah, this thing's really gonna work if we just, that doesn't work like that. So be excited. And share also with them what it is that you're doing right now. Sometimes you're going through a process that makes complete sense to you. But guess what? Doesn't make iota is the word. Thank you, wife, Mabel. It doesn't make any sense to them. Stop what you're doing and explain it to them. Once people expect the why, guess what happens? They're gonna latch on. I get always super excited when a recruit gets that why, and then I walk away, and in 15 minutes I walk back, and I see my new recruit, their buddy just walked in, and they don't know what they're saying, but they're saying what I just shared with them. Makes no sense to hear it from them, and I go, cringe, cringe, but they're excited. Is excited good?
Yes.
Their buddy doesn't know what they're talking about, but it doesn't matter. They're excited.
That's right.
Can I take a segue for just a minute? So check this out. My first big event had nothing to do with Primerica, but I'll never forget this training that we got. The guy played an Italian song, and it was beautiful. And for about a minute and a half, he just let it play and let it play and let it play, but nobody could understand what the guy was singing. But it was beautiful. That is what happens when you start talking about Primerica. They don't understand why you're excited, but you are excited. And that is what engages people. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I get goosebumps. I'm talking about myself here. Distribution. So a lot of people think they start Primerica just to tell stuff. Who thought when they just started out that this business was about selling stuff? Whatever it was. Please raise your hands higher so we can see how other people can see. And we didn't even think that it was about distribution. Spend at least an hour with your recruit. If you don't know how to do it, then find somebody who knows how to do it. I found Jeff Seagrave in the beginning. I'm going to share that with you guys. He has like the best 1 hour orientation out there when it comes to explaining the business and explaining distribution. Type in Jeff Seagrave orientation and let him educate you a little bit. It's a 1 hour orientation. It's on YouTube, yes. The 80-20 rule. So, a lot of people do this wrong. And that's why I'm going to spend at least a minute on this with you here today. All right? When you learn a new presentation, it's scripted, and you know the script, and you feel comfortable with the script, just know that 80% of the time it's going to work, but 20% of the time it's not going to work. This is where your experience comes in a little bit. This is why you don't go on one training appointment and think, oh, I got it. Between that and the script and the YouTube video that I followed and now I have it, you don't have it. Because if this guy says one thing different than the training that you saw, you're going to go, I don't know, right? You don't want to be that guy that says, I don't know, 5 times to the person that they're trying to get in the business. So when you are a district, an RL, you're getting a little bit more experience in the field, just remember to recognize who that you're going to be sitting with, be it at the KT, be it at your recruit appointment. KT is kitchen table. When you go to your kitchen table appointment and you know this guy's an engineer, don't use your standard script. I promise you it's not going to work.
Nope.
Right? This is why we have Assad in the office. What does he teach us? The exact thing to say to an engineer. Custom recruiting, he calls it. And he has scripts for engineers, he has scripts for accountants, he has scripts for teachers, he has scripts for all those things that you're going to get stuck with. Those are the 20s. The 20s? Going back to the 20s, I think it's like... All right. So recognize the different appointments that you're going to go on to. Yeah, 2 people recognized what I was doing. Recognize the different appointments and help your trainer who's going to go with you and tell them, hey, this guy's an engineer. So they know what to expect and they can adjust the presentation they're going to be giving to them accordingly. Lastly, master your craft. Especially when you recognize that one of your people is going to be an engineer. Then you tell your trainee, listen, this appointment is going to be totally different. But just don't interrupt me, don't kick me under the table, because I know you know the standard script. Just go with it. Follow my lead. When I ask you something to say, just say exactly what I'm going to say to you, and then you tell them exactly what I'm asking. Don't add anything, don't subtract anything. Are we okay? We got it?
Yep.
Good. Boom. And that's how you get into the appointment. You have to tell them that. Otherwise, they're going to expect you to do what you normally do. And then the whole presentation goes where?
Yep, that's right.
You recognize it, right?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
That's why I'm spending a minute time on this one as well. All right.
Yep.
So, remember this. The struggle is real, right? Not for you, but mostly for your new recruit. So, bear with them. You have to. The next thing you need to know is we need more agents. We need to go out there and recruit en masse. Otherwise, this thing, it's not going to work and you're not going to grow your business. So let me ask you this final question. Are you here to just sit here, or are you here to grow your business? Grow your business. Raise your hand. Grow your business? Okay, see you guys at the top.